Hey everyone, it's been a while since I've done one of these. Today we'll be exploring a late game damage build for the 3 Spears character, one which I haven't been able to find any online guides for thus far. Being a late game guide, this video will contain spoilers for everything related to the 3 Spears class, as well as all items in base Gloomhaven. I'll also be touching on the Sun class for reasons that will become apparent later. That said, this guide is still applicable and effective for those of you midway through the game, if you're approaching Prosperity 5 or later. With that spoiler warning out of the way, let's get started. Traditionally, guides suggest building the Quartermaster as a support character due to his cards that benefit allies. Many guides also focus on abusing the wealth of recursion the Quartermaster has access to, leading to some crazy combos, especially in conjunction with late game items. While we can do some of that with our build, we are primarily focused on building a character that doesn't demand combos with allies. Regardless of team composition, you'll be dishing out good damage consistently and tanking hits for our team, just like the Sun class. Sure, defensive stance of the Sun class is a busted card when enhanced to +2 permanent shield, and we won't be able to match that. But the Quartermaster offers so much more in other aspects, and is far more customizable by simply tweaking your item build. Hope that serves as motivation for exploring a damage and defense based Quartermaster. So, here is the hand of cards you'll begin most scenarios with as a level 5 Quartermaster, directly ripped from my solo scenario video. Go watch that for more in-depth discussion on the card choices, but to summarize, we take Scroll of Lightning and Giant Club at their respective levels, being our strongest single target attacks. Reinforced Steel will be played for its persistent loss effect in most games. At level 6, we gain our first large area attack in Catastrophic Bomb, and that's where our build catastrophically changes. In general, strong single target attacks are better than weak multi-target attacks. Giant Club and Scroll of Lightning have more potential to finish off enemies, and aren't rendered ineffective when facing against shielded enemies. Especially if our item build is not complete at this point, we will likely stick with our level 5 build by not bringing Catastrophic Bomb into the scenario, despite picking it as our level 6 card. In scenarios that require dispatching large hordes of unshielded enemies such as Vermlings and Vipers, however, we will certainly switch things up, bringing Bomb as well as Proficiency to amplify its power. Already at this point, you can see what I mean by the Quartermaster being a flexible, adaptable class by nature. Unfortunately, level 7 offers 2 disappointing options. Scroll of Blizzards is like Bomb, but with fewer hexes and no XP gain, while both of Refreshment's loss effects are worse than our existing 9 cards. So we skip back to level 5, picking up Scroll of Judgment. A move action with a single target stun tacked onto it is great value for a bottom action. At level 8, we get another multi-target attack in Portable Ballista. Now that we have a critical mass of multi-target attacks and are closer to finishing our item build, we can drop Reinforced Steel's persistent loss effect for the persistent attack boost from Proficiency. Note that you may still want to bring Reinforced Steel for the speedy initiative and Shield 2 bottom action, but finding a cut to squeeze it in is pretty tricky. I'll leave that as an exercise for the viewer. Finally, we take Scroll of Annihilation at level 9, which supersedes Scroll of Judgment as your move plus status bottom action, and provides a handy insta-kill effect on top when required. In every scenario, evaluate your financial situation and decide if it's necessary to bring oversized pack. Don't be ashamed about hoarding all that gold from your teammates. Those store-bought items have far better mileage on you than on them. Depending on the scenario, I replace one of the grayed out cards with oversized pack. If you have sufficient recursion, you can replace your single target attack 5. If the scenario is not going to last more than 12 rounds, I wouldn't bring Scroll of Recall. And if not much movement is required, you can skip Hasten Step. From gameplay experience, I find that the status movement cards in Scroll of Judgment and Scroll of Annihilation to be less useful due to their mediocre initiatives, so passing on those isn't the worst idea either. Now, as far as enhancements go, the one critical enhancement I would absolutely get is Strengthen on Crushing Hammer. For just 50 gold, Crushing Hammer becomes a workhorse bottom action that you bring every single scenario. Movement, defense, offense, all at a good initiative. What's there not to like? Most players attach Jump to Hasten Step, which is not useful for our build due to our choice of boots. Big ticket enhancements to consider include +1 on Portable Ballista, matching its power with Giant's Club and Scroll of Lightning. Alternatively, extend the area of effect of Catastrophic Bomb. Hitting more targets means drawing more of your modifier cards, something the Quartermaster really wants to do. These hefty enhancements are luxuries, not essentials. The main priority should be getting your full gear, which we'll delve into now. The Quartermaster has an easy time recovering spent items. With Reinforced Steel up, recovering spent items is an actionless effect, and earrings allow you to do so en masse. In contrast, consume items are harder to recover, typically requiring some sort of loss effect, or a refresh attack modifier, occurring unreliably and uncontrollably 20% of the time when you attack. The Scroll of Recall can recover consumables without loss, but the opportunity cost for that is a top action, typically an attack 5. Using this in the heat of battle diminishes your damage output. The takeaway from this is that we want to buy as many spent items as possible. For consumables, we want to identify 1 or 2 of our strongest consumables and recover those whenever offered the opportunity. With that in mind, this is my suggested item build. You'll notice that most of these are purchasable at Prosperity 5. The Prosperity 6 to 9 items are upgrades of lower Prosperity items. So even if you don't have access to those, their lower Prosperity versions do the job just fine. Of all the non-Prosperity items, the only one which is crucial in my opinion are Rocket Boots, unlockable from a random side scenario. Technically, this does have a downgraded version in Wing Boots or Boots of Striding, but I'd say you are missing out a lot by not playing the Quartermaster with Rocket Boots. With 100% uptime thanks to Reinforced Steel, this gives you a baseline move 5 jump every single turn from the basic move 2 bottom action. You'll be darting around the map like nobody's business. This absolutely trivializes positioning for your strong Portable Ballista attack, as well as making short work of certain scenario objectives that require you to stand on specific hexes, and that includes your solo scenario. Despite the steep cost, I would highly recommend purchasing this as your first item, even over major stamina potion. You'll never look back. Trust me on this one. Now, let's talk defensive item choices. In particular, I want to focus on Amulet of Life, a weak item choice for basically every other class. Occasionally, you'll find yourself without a target for Reinforced Steel. Perhaps enemies did not draw any attacks against you this turn, and you had no need to jump across the map with Rocket Boots. In these situations, having Amulet of Life means regenerating 1 health on each turn, which adds up over the course of the game. Heal 1 is a universal effect that can be put to good use at basically every point in the game. Furthermore, it gives you an on-demand source of poison and wound removal, which is why I strive to begin each turn with Amulet ready for use if possible. Cure Potions are another defensive choice I find invaluable. Sure, it is an unassuming item, much more situational than stamina, health, or power potions. However, especially at higher scenario difficulties, enemies can potentially throw a wrench in your otherwise immaculate plans by disabling you. Cure Potions are your get out of jail free card here. Moving on to offense, we want to grab as many items that boost attack, bearing in mind that we much prefer those that affect the entire attack action, thereby maximizing the boost on our big multi-target attacks. I went with Bloody Axe and Power Potion, but you can experiment with the items shown on the left side of the screen. That's the fun part of playing the Quartermaster. You don't have to follow my build card for card. Tweak things around as and when you see fit. Eagle Eye Goggles are great value, but there are only 2 copies in the shop. Chances are your teammates need them more. Besides, you've already slapped that strengthen on Crushing Hammer's bottom, right? We don't need more advantage here. I'm personally not a big fan of the elemental consumption options, such as Staff of Eminence and Robes of Evocation. as they require elemental setup. Instead, with our generous health pool, why not go for sacrificial robes or bloody axe? Keep in mind that those robe options will replace your defensive body armor slot, and the Staff of Eminence is a two-handed item that replaces your tower shield. But these are merely downsides. Don't overlook them just because I said so. Ultimately, you should select the items that best fit your party composition, your prosperity level, and most importantly, your playstyle. To round off our item build, we'll fit in a couple of recursion cards. I hear booing from the audience. Well, like it or not, to maximize your damage output, you want to play your ballistas and bombs over and over again, instead of resorting to suboptimal attacks like Giant Club and Scroll of Lightning. But I understand that this leads to boring, monotonic gameplay, so I have an alternate solution for those of you averse to recursion. Summons! No, I'm not joking. Item summons are actually good with the Quartermaster. They help achieve the build's objective of soaking and dishing out damage. And when they do attack, they can draw your refresh modifier for you, which allows you to resummon dead summons. If you plan to go down this route, I would suggest reviewing your skill build, placing priority on your loot cards, which have lost actions on the bottom that allow you to refresh all your consumable summons. Can your Sunkeeper do that? I didn't think so. Right, so a good build is but half the battle. Good play is crucial to victory, and I'll offer some tips and tricks here. You can apply any offense item twice to the same attack, thanks to recursion. Let's say you're firing off a portable ballistas, attack 4. Before drawing modifier cards, you activate Bloody Axe for +1 attack. Since we are about to use our Star Earring to perform our recursion, we may as well use our Amulet of Life, which will be refreshed anyway, compensating us 1 health. Then we use the earring here. This recovers all our items. We can then activate Bloody Axe again, adding yet another +1 attack to our ballista. Just like that, we've used Bloody Axe twice on the same ballista attack, turning it into an attack 6, possibly higher if you have proficiency or other offense items in play. This trick works on non-offense items as well. For example, you can add +6 move to a single move action by activating Rocket Boots, refreshing it, and then activating Rocket Boots again. This trick can be extended to your refresh modifier cards. When playing a multi-target attack such as Catastrophic Bomb, you can attack enemies in the area of effect in any order. The order of attack can be important here. Our objective is to kill as many enemies as possible, so that they don't get to fire off their attacks against us. In this example, we are boosting Bomb from attack 1 to attack 4 with the help of Major Power Potion, which triggers proficiency in our active area. It will hit all 3 bandit archers in the image on the bottom left, but who do we target first? In general, we first go after enemies which are guaranteed kills, barring drawing a null. That would be the leftmost archer, who dies even to a -2 modifier. Next, we target enemies that have no chance of dying to our attack. That would be the middle archer. The reason we attack in this order is, if we draw a refresh in either of our first 2 attacks, we can use it to refresh our Major Power Potion. Before resolving the remainder of Catastrophic Bomb, we can activate the Power Potion again, boosting our attack to 6. This attack 6 only applies to enemies that have yet to be hit. The enemies we've already resolved stay as attack 4s, and we don't get to boost them retroactively. This is fine though, because now we get the attack 6 on the final rightmost archer, which has exactly 6 health. Our chances of killing this archer are much higher than if we targeted it first with an attack 4. Speaking of proficiency, note that offensive items such as Bloody Axe and Power Potions are not the only things that trigger proficiency. While resolving an attack, before drawing any modifiers, you can easily take a swig of your stamina potion, summon a steel construct, or even meditate under the graces of your Amulet of Life to gain the damage boost from proficiency. Of course, you can only do so once per attack action. Keep that limit in mind. We cannot use items that have a conditional trigger. Rocket Boots can only be used when taking a move action, and Tower Shield can only be used when taking an attack to the face. Both of these typically cannot be used to trigger proficiency. Next, the refresh modifier is our secret sauce, the edge we have over other classes. It can easily be wasted on your first attack of the game when you typically haven't consumed any items yet. To avoid wasting a potential refresh modifier draw, use a power potion on that attack. Or, if you have multiple discards already, use a stamina potion. This brings us to perk choices. The Quartermaster's perks are excellent, and there's not much room to deviate from those suggested by other guides. I've roughly grouped them into 4 tiers. As long as you secure all perks in each tier before moving to the next, you're good to go. The rolling +1s are worse than the replace 0 with 2 perk, because we are attacking with advantage more often than not. Rolling modifiers decrease the expected gain from advantage. The only real controversy with perks is the one on the right. Ignore negative item effects and add 2 +1s. My suggestion is to time it such that you buy your heavy armor and gain this perk simultaneously. If you don't plan on buying heavy armor, avoid this perk at all costs. Crunching numbers, after we've taken all perks that improve our deck's damage, namely those in the green tiers, our deck has an expected damage modifier of +0.8. This is already very close to +1, so the heavy armor perk will have little impact on our expected damage output. In fact, it will bloat our modifier deck, diluting the chance we draw our other rolling modifiers and our refresh cards, which is actively bad. With that, our guide has come to an abrupt end. Won't take up any more of your time. This guide has run past its prime. Hope you found it sublime. I'll see myself out with this rhyme.